This is the next video in the Historic Ordnance series. It is on the German DM22, also known as the Parm, P-A-R-M, 2 Directional Off-Route Anti-Tank Mine. Now, Parm is an acronym and it stands for Panzer Abwehr Richtmine. Basically, anti-tank directional mine. Now, this version is an improvement on the previous DM12 Parm 1. That was developed in the 1980s, wasn't approved by the Bundeswehr until 1990. And by that point, when it was starting to enter service, it was the end of the Cold War, so they didn't buy as many of them as they had contracted for. Then the mine basically got tossed into storage. People kind of forgot about it or wanted to forget about it during the 90s when landmines are bad, the Ottawa Treaty and all that crap. In the late 1990s, that's when the Systems Improvement Program for the DM12, they picked it up, dusted it off, and decided, hey, maybe we should improve on these. These could be very helpful for the German military. So we had a version, basically the Block 2, if you want to think of it that way, the Parm 2, was adopted by the German military, given the designation DM22. It looks like the year it entered service officially was around 1997, 1998, with the first ones coming off the production line of the new series in like 98. Technicals on this. Length is 34 inches. I do not have a height on this. The weight on it, it appears to be either 22 pounds or 40 pounds. It could be that the DM12 is the 22 and the DM22 is the 40. Yeah, there's a lot of, the information on this is kind of jumbled back and forth on a lot of websites. They start talking on the one, they jump into the other, back and forth, and they don't really let you know which information is for which. Now, of the weight of the mine, the warhead itself is 3 pounds. And the warhead on it is a tandem charged, dual shape charge, high explosive anti-tank warhead with a composition of hexagene. The temperature range for this to operate is negative 31 degrees Fahrenheit to a max of 145 degrees Fahrenheit. The range on the tripod when you're setting it up, it can go a full 360 so that you can get it dialed in just where you want it on the kill zone. Elevation, it can go to a max of 90 degrees straight up, and you can depress it down to a negative 45 degrees to get it dialed into where you want it to hit on your target. Now, the trigger system on this is a fiber optic cable, which is part of the mine itself. And this fiber optic cable has a break weight of around 11 pounds. So even a person stepping on this will break the fiber optic cable and set off the mine if it is armed. Now, this mine is electrically triggered. It is powered by a lithium battery. The battery that is in there has a shelf life of up to 40 days once it is active. And reportedly, the mine can be reused multiple times. So if you set it out there for 5 days, come back, turn it off, recover the mine, move it to the next location. At that point, the mine can be used for another 35 days. Once the batteries get low, you can replace the lithium batteries inside. Because I cannot get a hold of the manual or find a copy of it online because it is classified, a lot of the information I have is from Russian sapper websites, and they're getting the information from the troops on the ground in Ukraine. They are examining captured mines that were given to the Ukrainian army, and also captured training materials. That information has filtered back to the rest of the Russian army in Russia, and that information has ended up on their sapper websites over the internet. I cannot find a copy of the manual. I looked. They did reference the manual number on some of those websites. I've done searches on it, and it comes up no result. Now, the warhead on this reportedly can defeat a minimum of 100 millimeters of armor. This is the official NATO standard capability for this mine. But the Russians have stated that it should defeat between 600 to 750 millimeters of armor. Now, on those 600 and 750, it looks like 600 is for the old DM12, so that's kind of the minimum. On the upgraded DM22s, it's supposed to breach up to 750 millimeters. So it's the true penetration capability is somewhere in there. It's going to penetrate at least 100 millimeters, a maximum of 750. And that will be at a 90-degree angle straight on. Now, the range on these mines. When it's fired, it needs a minimum of 2 meters to arm. And then the maximum range on it, depending on the trigger you're using. If you're using the fiber optic cable and it's the DM22, it's 60 meters, but the round will go past that. Now, if the DM22 has the optional infrared sensor attached, the sensor is good out to 100 meters, so that's considered the effective range at that point. However, it is noted that depending on the angle that you put that launcher at, it can go to a maximum of 500 meters by becoming an indirect fire, like a mortar. This is not an anti-tank rocket. From what I was reading on this, it really sounds like it's essentially a World War II Panzerfaust with a better warhead and a trigger system on it mounted on a tripod. Easiest way to describe it. Now, the emplacement steps. And these steps are from the Russian sapper website, and they're made a note in there that there are tons of safety messages all through the emplacements on this. So the person went through, got just the basics on the steps for emplacement and posted that, but be forewarned. Now when it shows up in a crate like this. One launcher on a tripod inside the styrofoam packing, bound with 2 straps. Up on the top here, there are 3 wrenches. My suspicion are those are the arming wrenches. Now you get the mine, open up the crate, inspect the mine for damage. If the mine is damaged, you do not use it. If the tripod is damaged, you do not use it. You can disconnect the launcher from the tripod. I don't think I got a good picture of it. Not a good one anyway. But on the tripod here, there's 2 latches on the front of the tripod, one on each side. If you pop those, you can remove the launcher from the tripod. And then you can take that launcher, put it on an already expended tripod to reuse it. Inspect the top of the mine. There's going to be an indicator, which is right here. That white cap on that one. The indicator should show it is in the S position. Sicher, it is safe. If it is not, do not use the mine. Remove the mine from the case, and there is a carrying handle on the mine. Right here. It is integral to the tripod. Grab it, pick it up, carry it to where you need to go to. When you get to your firing position, set it down, deploy the tripod, move the launcher into roughly a 90-degree, sight in where you anticipate your target is going to be at. Now, on the very front, there is a blade sight. On the very back, you got two little wings. See if I can get you close enough here to better identify. On the back are two wings, and inside there is a 45-degree angled mirror. So you just look straight down from above onto that mirror, and it lines up with the front sight on here. Line it up to the height and location you want inside your kill zone. Do your adjustments, your left and right, raise and lower. You got your initial set. Tighten up your clamps just enough. You're not going to crank them down at this point. You're then going to go to the back of the mine. You got two little clips here. Pop them off and remove this cap from the back of the mine. That cap is the spool that contains the fiber optic cable. You then spool the fiber optic cable going across your kill zone. Now, if it's a DM12, it has a max of length of 40 meters. If it's a DM22, it's supposed to be 60 meters. Safety message on that: do not do any hard breaks or kinks on it. Do not set anything on it. Do not step on it, damage it in any way. Lay it loose out across your kill zone. When you get it to the other side of your kill zone where you want it to go, set it down and just keep that cap from moving. Do not wrap it around anything. Just maybe put a little rock on it, or maybe slip something through one of those little wire latches to hold it in place. Go back to the mine at that point. You're going to recheck your aim. Lock in your tripod, and then you're going to arm it. Now, this is the questionable part on this because it is Russian translation, and I'm not 100% certain. According to the Russian translation, it says on the combat end of the launcher, turn handle to vertical and green light should activate. The green light will be up here underneath that white cap. The arming and firing mechanism right here. Green light activates. It will then do a self-text for 16 seconds. If at the end of that 16 seconds the green light flashes or it goes out, the launcher or the fiber optic cable has failed the self-test, at which point that launcher cannot be used. If it stays a solid green, the indicator should switch over to F for fire, and the mine will begin to arm. It has a arming time of 5 minutes from that point until the system is active. Emplacement notes: the rear of the mine must have at least a 12-inch clearance because of backblast. And there is also a note of do not emplace this in water or even near a fording site because it is electric. You had the possibility of some type of short or something occurring that could cause problems with the mine. And it's possible the water could interfere with the signals on the fiber optic cable also. Once the mine is starting to arm, Do not travel in front of the mine at any time. You are only allowed to approach the mine from the sides or the rear, never from the front. Do not step on the fiber optic cable or even get near it, is in the safety messages. Now, reportedly, this mine can be set in a command detonated version, but I cannot find the steps on that because I do not have access to the manual. This mine can also be set up with a passive infrared sensor with a combination acoustic sensor. Also, I do not have the information on that as to where that plugs in. Does it plug in onto the back of the rocket, or does it plug into somewhere on top? On the modified or upgraded versions, there is a small little Picatinny rail essentially that was attached to the top of the launcher. That is where the sensor slides onto. The sensor looks like a 1990s era camera. It's not extremely big, but you can clearly see there is a camera lens on it. And reportedly inside there is a microphone also. Now, how that sensor works. The passive infrared stays off to conserve power. The acoustic microphone is on. When the microphone picks up a sound indication that is a vehicle noise, once it reaches a certain level, that's when it will activate the passive infrared sensor. So then, if a vehicle passes in front of the sensor and it's within 100 meters of the launcher, it will send the signal into the warhead and launch it out of the tube downrange. Now, there is a note that if you employ the passive infrared sensor component, the battery life is decreased from 40 days to 30 days because it's on continuously powering that microphone. And occasionally it is going to turn on and off if it picks up the right amount of noise. But if it picks up the right amount of noise, the passive infrared is active. It doesn't pick anything up. I'm sure it times out after so many seconds, so many minutes, and then it goes back into a standby armed mode. Now, to safe the mine. First off, major safety note was only approach from the rear or the sides, never from the front. Do not even get close to the fiber optic cable. When you get up to the mine, you will insert a special key, which I think they mean disarming wrench, to the top of the mine, which I suspect the port might be there. Turn it to move the indicator from F to S. So from Feuer to Sicher. From fire to safe. Then it said to move the handle to a horizontal position. I do not know where this handle is. It does not appear to be on the side. My suspicion is it might be at the back of the launcher. I am not 100% certain. You will then go forward out to the end of the fiber optic cable. You will pick up the reel, and then it looks like you start spinning the top of the reel to re-spool the fiber optic cable back inside there. It looks like it's just a little crank. Once you get back up to the launcher, you put the cable into the back of the launcher. You then collapse your tripod back to the carry position, and you move on to your next location for employment. Now, I did a lot of looking to try to find information as to where the special key is put. I'm guessing it's right up here, what's referred to as the arming and firing mechanism. I'm guessing that's where the arming wrench goes. I cannot find the position of this arming handle, if you want to think of it that way. My best guess is it's the back of the launcher, but I can't say for certain because I could not see any good pictures of the very back to get a look in there. When I did get a look at it, everything was black inside there. No one was shining in a flashlight pointing anything out. So, but she had the basic information. So basically, inspect, move to position, get the launcher set up, remove the fiber optic from the back of the launcher, run it across your kill zone, set it down, no kinks, no damages on the fiber optic, go back to the launcher, turn handle to a vertical position. So I'm guessing there's some little arming button or something in there somewhere, probably on the back. That will then activate a self-test. There'll be a green light either on here or in the back, not certain. After 16 seconds, the light will either stay on, meaning it's good. It will either flash, meaning it's failed its test, or it will just plain go out. Indicator, which I'm guessing is on top, will flip from the S position to the F position at that point and demine arms within 5 minutes. After you have done your self-test, you're going to go through camouflage to mine. Make sure you use light camouflage. Don't put anything heavy on there and anything that will interfere with the launching of the warhead. Make sure there is nothing in front of the warhead that the warhead could slam into when it's going to hit the target. Depending on where you put this, you can hit your target from the side, from the front, you can hit it from the back, and because you can angle it downward 45 degrees, you can actually put it in a structure or on a hillside so that it will hit the top of a target. There is a note here that with the passive infrared sensor, you were supposed to be able to program it to pick a target up to 9 vehicles into the convoy so that you could set it up. You know that your target vehicle that you want to hit for certain is vehicle number 4. You set it to vehicle 4, so then as it goes through, the warhead is counting. When it gets to the 4th indication that a vehicle's in front of it, that's when it will fire. However, there's conflicting information on this, that sensor may not have been adopted by the German military, so it may not have been produced. So it's very possible the only ways to activate this will be with the fiber optic cable and with command detonation. And from what I've seen on video footage from the German military training with these are set off with command detonation regularly. It did not show how to set them up for command det. My guess is it's going to be on the back of the warhead here once you remove that coil with the fiber optic cable. I'm guessing there's something in there, a connector that you can connect into. I don't have a good picture here for you, but when this thing fires, the warhead on the front comes flying off. This section on the back here actually comes flying out the back, sort of like a recoilless rifle system. And that's when you're left with the cradle and the tripod. And it's only that warhead that goes down range. So you're not going to be trailing the fiber optic cable behind it or the WD1 communications wire you use to set it up for command detonation. All that's going to get left behind with the rear section. The warhead is free to travel on its own. That's the information I could find, and I looked for hours and hours. I went through multiple ways to try to get a hold of the manual. It's classified, can't find it. The only place I could find good information for arming and disarming was Russian sappers trying to teach their people what to do when they come across them. But there you go, the basic information I could come across for a German DM22 directional off-route anti-tank mine. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember essayons.